Hello, everyone, and welcome to the deeper conversation today. And we really wanted to touch a lot on what joy looks like or feels like, because I think sometimes we have the misconception that it has to be like, woo, yeah, woo. And
No.
it's not necessarily that,
Mm-mm.
and we can feel it differently.
Yeah, we experience. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but Nat tends to be a little more cerebral. I tend to be a little bit more like embodied.
Yep.
One isn't better than the other,
Nope.
but it's just kind of who you are, what package you're in. And so maybe it's interesting to think about, like, outside of those large moments of joy, like where it's obvious, where you're like those big explosions of joy. I think what's most important are the micro moments of joy that you curate either as a thinker or as a feeler. And so I think we're going to kind of talk about how is joy experienced for you, Nat, as a thinker.
Yeah. Well, it's like I was explaining in the podcast how I kind of took a few wrong turns and ended up going through the city. Now, in the moment, I was choosing to feel joy, to go, oh, this is great. Oh, and it was a Sunday morning. There wasn't a lot of traffic, so it was, it was great. But I was really, leaning into my choice here is not to be upset with myself for missing all the turns, but to appreciate and love where I am. Now, I did have my joy soundtrack playing, my Spotify playlist.
That helps.
Yeah.
Right.
And, it also reminded me, because this is something that I got programmed in when I first left Orange, when I first left my hometown and I moved to Sydney. I had this little 1972 Toyota Corolla. We called it the baked bean. It was orange. But I would go home and visit my boyfriend sometimes, or visit the family. But driving to Sydney by myself, like the feeling of independence and joy,
absolutely.
and everything, it was just palpable. And so, tapping in and remembering those kind of feelings as I was driving through the city, I'm like, this is reminding me of all of these things. So it's not necessarily that I think my way to joy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like I instantly feel something, but I think my way because of the associations or how I'm choosing to show up in that moment. That's what brings me to joy.
So when you get to joy, is it a feeling of alignment, relief? Is it a feeling of is it just feel like nothingness because it just feels right? Is it exhilarating? Does it make what is it when you finally think your way to joy? Because I think you're absolutely right. Like, joy is a choice.
Yeah.
Joy is a choice, whether I'm going to be embodied in my joy or in my head. I mean, joy is a choice, right? So, but once you get there, what's the payoff that you get?
It's I am dropped into my body.
Yep.
And I'm feeling, my chest is expanding. I'm feeling energy from my chest. And I don't know, it's just like I see everything different.
Okay, go on. This is the payoff. So part of what's great about this conversation is, have you ever had a conversation with yourself about what is joy when you get there, and really start to identify it? Because I don't think a lot of people really go after it. They just go, oh, I'm there, right?
Yeah.
Like we've stumbled into joy, but joy is an intentional practice.
Yeah, and I think because because I am a thinker, then it becomes a way of thinking, which then becomes a way of feeling. I was caught up with one of my sisters after my mum's service, and I was saying, oh, that went really well. And two of my sisters that delivered the eulogy, they haven't really been speaking much, but they did it together, and they did an amazing job. And then my brother got up and he said something as well, and we weren't quite sure what he was going to say, but it was really lovely. And I was talking to one of my sisters about that, and she goes, yeah, well, he said this, and this is what he meant, and blah, 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 and he was having a dig at us. And I'm thinking, really? Because that's not what
I heard. Yeah, you're like, wait a minute, that's not what I heard.
Because I was like, because my dad was so nervous about it. I said, because he's like, oh, I'll be really happy when it's over. I'm like, Dad, it's going to be an amazing day.
It'll be amazing.
I go, everyone's going to get on. I go, we're only focusing on all the good things about mum and the happy stories. It's going to, and which is exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Now, was it that for everybody? Maybe not, but it was definitely that for me.
Yeah, it was that for you. And that was true, right? Even if you're if you're the siblings from the same family, everybody's going to have a different experience. And like, so joy is a choice.
Yeah.
You know, feeling the better feeling, choosing the better feeling, choosing to find the empowered story. That is a thinking, it's a choice, it's intentional. And it takes practice.
It does.
It takes practice. You know, like my sister today was telling me another thing about this horrible divorce she's going through and what's happening. And she kind of was relaying the story. And I just work really lovingly to keep supporting her around, oh my God, that's where you should have entered the story. Because she tends to enter the story in the lowest point of the story.
Right.
You know, and so she enters the story from where it really sucks.
Yeah.
You know, but there's also another point of the story which doesn't suck. And so what point of the story are you sharing the stories in your life from? You know, and that's a choice. And so it doesn't make her story less true. It's just, what point of the story are you, like you were looking at it where everyone's going to get on. We're all just seeing the best parts of mom. It's amazing that people who haven't spoke for a long time are actually doing something together. My brother didn't get up there and he didn't throw a spear at anybody. He just, you know, spoke his truth. And you were allowing that from your point of the story.
Yeah.
And your sister just entered it from a different point of the story.
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing I realized here as well, because, you know, I'm telling my dark night of the soul story repetitively because I'm seeing all these different people and catching up with everyone.
Yeah.
And then I also realized, I'm like, wait a minute, no. I'm not going, like you just said, I'm not going to talk about it from that point.
Yeah.
And even though I mentioned the lowest point, I go, but this is what I learned from it. This is what I understand.
Yeah,
this was the contrast. This is the, you know, because I was at that low point, now I appreciate everything so much more because, you know, of that contrast. I go, and this is what I really learned. I really learned that it's time for me to look after myself. I can't be relying on anyone else, blah, 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 blah.
And that you are okay and that life is good and that everything is working out for you. And, you know, it's like, it's that finally getting to that space of, and again, it's not blowing smoke and it's not just blowing sunshine. Like, there's hard things that all of us have to move through, but we make it harder. And this is my opinion. I wish the world was more joy seeking because I think it makes the world easier. But for whatever reason, I think people want to make it hard. You know, and like I would tell my kids this all the time, and I know I've said this on this podcast. It takes thought to be thoughtful. It's easy to be mean and nasty. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to think about how to be mean and nasty. Nope, just comes out. Like, but it takes thought to be thoughtful. Like that's the piece for me that I'm like, ooh, joy is the thought level, the thought vibration. I want to be. It takes thought to be joyful.
Yeah.
Right. And so then if I'm thinking about my joy as something that is a vibration that then goes into my body, how am I speaking? What am I saying? What are the thoughts that I'm allowing myself? And it's just a practice. What point of the story am I entering in? And am I repeating and recycling the story from an empowered space or a disempowered space?
Yeah. But it really is a practice. It's a reprogramming. It's an absolute reprogramming because, you know, in my low points, you know, I could get into these negative vortexes when like the negative thoughts were going around. Now, am I happy that I experienced that? Because I don't normally do that. Like, you know, and I think I said there was one morning where I went, oh, I really don't want to get out of bed. Now, am I happy that I experienced it? No. In the fact, I wasn't happy at the time. But, you know, taking the 10,000 foot view and looking at it and seeing, you know, the good that's come out of it and what I'm choosing to do instead because of that experience, well, then yes. But I do understand that if you're listening to this and you are in the depths.
Yeah.
It's you go, look, the last thing I want to do is feel happy right now because I'm here. Yeah. But believe me, unless you take even the tiniest of steps, to get your frequency just a little bit higher or a little bit higher or a little bit higher. So whatever that is for you, it's the only way you're going to get out. And it's the only way you're going to solve the issue. That's the only way, you know.
Yeah. Well, and someone said that you can live in a cage, but that cage, the door is always open. Like that's the crazy thing. We put ourselves in the emotional jail, but there isn't even a door on the, we're just, years ago, my sister, we shared a room, and I'll never forget one day, my sister, she loved putting her bed in the closet. And so she had this little twin bed that was in this little walk-in closet that fit like perfectly. And I was on the outside of the room, and she'd sleep with the door open. And one night I woke up to her hitting the door, like, or hitting the wall, screaming, "Susan, open that door. And I looked at her and I was like, turn around. Because she was hitting the wall. She
was at the other end. Yeah.
She thought that she was like, and I was like, just turn around. And that's kind of what it is with any reality that you're living. If it doesn't feel good, you can turn around. There's another side to it. So it doesn't mean that the wall that you're hitting isn't real and the fear that you're feeling isn't real. It means that you have another perspective that you can breathe into. It's not the only one that's available to you.
That's right.
And that choice and that freedom actually is the starting point for my joy. I know I get to choose. I'm the chooser of where I'm going to enter the story. What point am I going to start? Like, I'm afraid, but I'm also excited. Everything has always worked out for me in some way. I'm excited to see the magic that's going to unfold, even though I can't see it right now. It's like, it's not denying where you are, it's adding to it and turning around and adding something else that gives yourself joy. Just open. It opens yourself. Right?
Exactly. And if you've been in a darker place, then, like I said, I felt like it was purposeful.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Yeah. Just now your choice is how long you hang out there.
There you go. Amen. Never believe the full story if it's leaving you disempowered, because you are not disempowered. You are a joyful being. Just as much as you can be a miserable human being, you could be a joyful human being.
That's
both sides.
Because if you're in the depths, then the story isn't over yet.
That's right.
You got to get to the good bit where you go, this is the triumphant. This is the thing. This is how I overcame this. This is amazing.
That's, what's beautiful is that you just had a really beautiful human moment, Nat.
Yeah.
You just got to be a human. Welcome.
Yep.
Right. You get to just be, look at you, humaning all over the place.
There you go.
And
just lifing.
Just lifing. Humaning. People.
Lifing hard.
Yeah, you were lifing hard. Now life easy.
Lifing easy.
Love it.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us for the deeper conversation. We'll be back again next week. And we're looking forward to having you join us then.
Absolutely. So. And share the Joy Jolt with a friend. Turn more people into Jolters. We need to make this conversation. We desire to make this conversation. We get to make this conversation about joy something that we put front and center, because it is what will support your continued opening. So love that we're here. I'm Susan Patrick.
I'm Natalie Ledwell, and we'll see you next week.